Hey, listeners, welcome back to another out of world news story with us. Unraveled Tales reveals the hidden secrets of the past. Prepare to embark on an extraordinary journey as we delve into the depths of history and bringing you immersive, real stories from different eras. My wife was filing for divorce. Believe her, none of what you hear and half of what you see. Full story. I hope you will enjoy this. Hi, my name is Bob. I am 35, reasonably good looking, and am 6'1", 200 pounds. My body is fairly muscular as I work out some and run every day. I am no gym rat or marathon runner, but I keep in pretty good shape. When I was in high school, I boxed for a couple of years in the Golden Gloves program. Never could understand why I could not kick a guy in the knee or backhand him. That's how we did it in my neighborhood. We did what we had to do to win. In the hood, there are no points for style. If you can walk away after the fight, you are the winner. More background on me. I love women. In high school, college, and until I got married, I tried to get as many ladies as possible. My friends always said I would hit a snake if someone would hold it straight for me. Not quite that bad, but close. Facial beauty wasn't necessary, but a good body was. The girl could look like 20 miles of bad road, but as long as her body was hot, so was I. That was how I was until I met my wife, Julie. She is the perfect woman in my mind. Once we were married, my old ways died a quick death. I was no longer a dot hound. I was married and planned to stay that way happily. My father, a good man by the way and a better father, had been married 3 times. I vowed that once done right was enough. Sorry, got off on a tangent there. My story took place about 5 years ago. Update, I was in sales. Okay, I was a car salesman. We called ourselves transportation consultants. Really, that's what our business cards said. I was just a car salesman. My best buddy is Mark. We are tight. He is the brother I never had. I got his back, and he has mine. The reason I mention Mark is he plays an important part in the unhappy occurrence I will tell you about. Sorry, a little aside here. The 3 professions that get the most women are cops, personal trainers, and car salesmen. True fact. Cops and car salesmen also lead in the divorce statistics. The 2 facts seem to go hand in hand, don't they? Mark came to me on a Thursday and asked for my help. He had been to a family reunion the previous weekend and met a cousin, Sandy, he hadn't seen for like 15 years. She was now 25 and apparently having problems with her marriage. Her husband had moved out. Sandy had called Mark Wednesday evening at home and asked him to meet her for a drink to discuss her marriage. "How about coming with me, buddy?" Mark asked. I may be reading it wrong, but I think she wants help in the bedroom as well as advice on her marriage. If there are 2 of us, she will have to settle for advice. I really don't want to become involved with her romantically. Is she a dog? I can't remember many times that you passed up a little action with the ladies. Is it because you are cousins? No, she isn't a dog. She is really hot, and she is like my 4th cousins. It's just that she and Sam aren't divorced, just separated. If I did her and then she got back with her husband, I would see them at family things and it would be very awkward. Also, I just started dating Josie, and I don't want to screw that up. She would be pissed if I jumped Sandy's bone. What do you say, bud? Okay, I'll go with you, just to protect your virtue. Let me call Julie and tell I'm going to be very late. I called my love and told her Mark and I were going to have a couple of beers after work, and I would be home late. Be careful. Drinking and driving, Julie warned me. I don't want to pick you up off the highway or come get you at the jail. She didn't sound too happy about the whole idea. Don't be meeting up with some hottie and forget about me here at home. Hey, where did that crack about a woman come from? I asked. You know you are the love of my life and the only woman I want or need. Just kidding, she replied. She was a little testy, I thought. I rode with Mark and left my car at the car lot. Big mistake. We met Sandy around 6:30 at a lounge close to our work. Mark introduced us. She was 25 or 26. He was right. She was hot. Sandy has auburn hair, a body that will cause men to fight over her, and a very lovey, sultry voice. She said hello and shook my hand, and I felt like she was trying to pull me into the bedroom. Sandy had that kind of love-you-all charisma without even trying. We got some alcohol, and she started to tell us her tale of woe concerning her marriage. The more we talked, the more we drank. Sandy's problems were typical of a young couple trying to get started. She said the Sam worked long hours, was tired when got home, and didn't want to do anything but rest. Sandy was working long hours too, but said she tried to make home life interesting. He just wouldn't respond. Yada, yada, yada. Same old story, same old tune. As she talked, she would put her hand on Mark's knee or my arm to emphasize a point. She would lean over toward us, and her blouse fell open at the top. Finally, Mark got a few words in. Sounds to me like you guys need to sit down and have a serious discussion. Instead of fighting and Sam leaving because you are both angry, get together and have a talk about what is important to the both of you. Neither of you should point a finger of blame, just why have things gone wrong talk. Mark is right, Sandy, I chimed in. All couples have an adjustment period to live through. Everyday life can be a bitch all by itself, with the pressures of work, a new household, and getting to know each other. Call Sam and make time for a meeting. Be positive when you ask him to meet you. Tell him you miss him and want to work on your problems. If he loves you, he will forgive you and want to work things out. If he doesn't love you, then you are better off splitting sooner rather than later. It's a harsh reality, but the truth. Sandy was all ears. Mark and I gave her advice and we drank for another 2 hours or so. The only bad advice we gave her was, let's have another drink. When we decided to call it a night and got up to leave, Sandy was wasted. Car salesmen, at least at our dealership, have a reputation of having a hollow leg when it comes to alcohol. We have a huge capacity. She had been keeping up with us. Problem was, she is a lightweight. Sandy was so out of it that Mark and I had to almost carry her out of the bar. She was staggering around with us holding her up and trying to help her walk. I must admit I enjoyed feeling her body as we helped her out to her car. Well, she certainly can't drive like this, Mark said. She will either have a wreck or just fall asleep here in the parking lot. We will have to take her home. Shh. She lives 35 miles or more from here. I don't want to drive that far. I'm a little ducked up myself and don't need to be on the road that long. Hey, how about taking her to your house? You live the closest. Whoa, dude, we have to go back to work to get my car, and we'll be closer to your house by then. Besides, she is your family. I want to go home to my wife. All right, help me get her into the car and I will take her home with me. When we got to his car, he couldn't unlock the car and hold her up too. He pushed her over on me to hold her up. Sandy put her arms around my neck and I had both arms around her back. Again, she was very drunk and began to kiss my neck and cheek. Come on, Sam, kiss me, she whined. I'm really hot and I want you so bad. She obviously thought I was her husband. As she was kissing me, I thought I saw a flash of light. Must be a car driving by, I reasoned. I pushed her face into my shoulder and waited for Mark to get the car open. We put her in the back seat, got in, and drove to the car lot. I hope Josie doesn't find out about this. It's totally innocent, but she might get the wrong impression, Mark worried. How would she know? She is at her place, and you can get Sandy to her car tomorrow. Good luck with her, I told Mark. Better you than me. See you tomorrow, buddy. Yeah, tomorrow. I owe you one brother. See ya. I got to my car and started the long drive home. It is about 20 minutes to my house, and I was feeling the effects of all those drinks. Not drunk, but not near sober. I drove very carefully. The garage door wouldn't open, and I thought a L of time for the batteries to go out in the remote. I left the car in the driveway and went to the front door. The security chain stopped the door from opening. What the duck? Why is the chain on the door? Julie knew I was going to be late. I started to bang on the door. No answer. Dead silence, except for the noise I was making. Julie, open the door. I can't get in, I yelled through the partially open door. No answer. Julie, what the hell? Open the door, please. You don't live here anymore, you cheating asshole. Julie yelled back at me. What? Quit kidding around and let me in. I need to get some sleep. I have to work tomorrow. Go sleep with that slut you were with tonight. I'm sure you have done it before. Maybe you and Mark can flip to see who gets the bed, or maybe you can sandwich her. I was warned this was going on. Get the L away from here. Slot? What slot? Who are you talking about? No answer. Oh wait, you mean Mark's cousin. There's nothing going on there. She and her husband have split, and she wanted some advice on what to do from Mark. He thought I might have some insight since I am married. Come on, Julie. You know I have never or would ever screw around on you. I love you. Bullshit. You have a funny way of showing it. I have pictures of you two in the parking lot. You were hugging her tight and she was kissing you. How do you explain that asshole? Go away before I call the cops. Like I said, you don't live here anymore. Julie, don't do this. It's just a misunderstanding that I can explain. Slow down and let's talk. You can call Mark and verify everything I'm saying. Mark is like your brother. If you told him to, he would swear the world was flat, the sun rises in the west, and that you are a saint. I wouldn't believe him either. Josie already knows what was going on, so he is in a world of too. Go away. Now I'm getting pissed off, Julie. Take a deep breath, calm down, and open the door so we can talk. This has gone far enough. I'm asking you for the last time. Duck, you go away, Julie shouted at me. That did it. The anger that swept over me was like nothing I have ever felt. I drew back and kicked the door as hard as I could. The chain ripped off the door and took part of the door jamb with it, but the door was opened. I stepped into the entryway and Julie was just standing there in shock. Don't ever think you can lock me out of my own house, I yelled at her. Julie went running to our bedroom and slammed the door. I heard the click as she locked the door. I guess she hadn't learned anything. I walked very quickly to our bedroom door and kicked it in also. Julie was backed into the corner, staring at me with real fear in her eyes. I think she thought I was going to come after her next. I told you, no one locks me out of my house, and that includes the bedroom. I am going to get my clothes for work tomorrow, and I will leave. Then I picked out a suit, shirt, tie, and grabbed my razor and such. Looking at Julie, I told her she didn't have to see Guy where in the corner. I couldn't hurt her and walked to the door. One last look and I said, I guess the next time we see each other will be at the attorney's office. I piled my stuff into the car and drove to a nice motel near my work. Sitting there in that room, I thought about what had happened. How could a good deed come back to duck me so bad? I was trying to help someone and got sht on big time. At first, I was so mad I could have chewed nails and spit thumbtacks. The anger left after a few minutes, and all I felt was a bone-weary sadness. My wife hated me and wouldn't listen to anything I had to say. I was guilty without even a hearing. Oh well, after this was all over, I guess the dot hound would be reborn. I wasn't really too excited over that prospect. I was in my room for about 30 minutes when my cell phone rang, and I answered without thinking. Hello, Bob. Bob, where are you? I need to talk to you. I have made terrible mistake. Where are you? All this from Julie. Now a mistake has been made, huh? Duck me? Duck me. Isn't that what you said, Julie? Well, duck you. I hung up. The phone began to ring again. I hit the off button, didn't want to talk to her or anyone else right now. Duck them all. The next morning, I got ready to go to work. I had 2 appointments with prospective buyers this morning. Both were possibly very big sales. One was for a fleet of trucks and cars for a manufacturing business, and the other was for a small community about 100 miles away. If I pulled it off, my commissions would be huge. I mean, really huge. In spite of my personal life going to HAL, I had to meet with these people. The appointments were a result of 4 months of my work. I turned my cell back on, and there were at least 20 messages from my home number and Julie's cell. After erasing those without listening to any of them, I noticed 5 or 6 from Mark. I was pulling into the car lot, so I didn't listen to them either, as Mark was standing at my parking space waiting on me. What the duck is going on? Where the have you been? Don't you answer your cell anymore? Mark started on me. As to what is going on, Julie and I have split up. I stayed at the courtyard last night, and I turned my phone off. Anything else you want to know? If not, I have got to get ready for my first appointment. I turned and walked away, headed for my office. Wait a minute. Julie called me last night and said she caused a big fight. She said you kicked in the front door and the bedroom door and left, and that you hung up on her when she called you to apologize. She kept trying to call you, but it went right to voicemail every time. I tried to call you and got the same thing. I don't have time for this right now. Let's meet around 2 and I'll fill you in then, okay? Update 1. My 2 meetings went off like clockwork. I sold a total of 42 cars and trucks between the 2 deals. Made a sheet pot full of money. The boss was so happy he offered me the job as lead salesman at the new facility opening in a couple of months. The owner said, make to me the fleet sales manager also. Guess I got a promotion out of it. I met with Mark at 2 in my office and told him what had happened. that Julie had the wrong idea about Sandy from somewhere, had pictures as proof, and didn't want to hear what I had to say. She tried to lock me out of the house first, and then the bedroom. That was when I kicked in the doors. I wouldn't put up with that lack of respect from a stranger, much less my wife. She can take her temper, her suspicions, and her so-called proof and go tell. I'm done. Mark looked at me real hard. I'm not going to let you do this, you asshole. You two belong together. You changed for the better when you met her. She has helped you become a better person. Do you really want to throw all that away over a misunderstanding? You are my best friend and like my brother, but stay out of this. I won't be mollified or calmed down by anyone, even you. Stay out of it, Mark. If she believes I'm guilty without even talking to me, then duck her. I won't take that. I left the office and went back by my house. Julie wouldn't have had time to change the locks yet. She was out somewhere, at work, or her attorney. I didn't care. After gathering most of my clothes and personal items and loading them into the car, I went back to the kitchen. I left a note on the counter telling Julie I would have my attorney contact her. Along with the note, I left my wedding ring. On my way back to the motel, I picked up a new cell phone, as I was sure Julie would just keep calling. She is stubborn if nothing else. I needed to find an apartment or something. That motel room was depressing. My old cell phone began to ring about the time Julie would have gotten home from work. After I saw the first 5 calls were from her, I turned it off. She started calling me at work the next morning. Cindy, our receptionist, usually rings the phone on your desk or pages you when the customer asks for you. You have no idea who is calling. When I picked up the first call from her, I hung up without saying anything. The second call, a few minutes later, I told her to stop calling me and hung up without giving her a chance to talk. I gave Cindy my new cell number and told her to forward all calls but Julie's to that number. I told her that I didn't want to talk to Julie. I guess Julie finally took the hint after Cindy told her that I wasn't accepting her calls. That would stop Julie from bothering me. Remember, I told you Julie was stubborn? 8 o'clock, time to unwind after a busy day. As I walked out to the car, I saw Julie standing by it waiting for me. I walked right past her and started to get in the car. Bob, please let me talk to you. I made a terrible mistake and I am so very sorry. Please, let's go somewhere, have a drink and talk about this. Please. Julie, I don't want to talk to you. There is nothing to say. I tried to explain that night, but you had already convicted me. You didn't want to talk then, and there is no need to talk now. I will have my attorney contact you for your attorney's name, and everything can be handled between them. Where will you go, Bob? Where will you live? A friend of mine needs someone to house sit for a couple of months, so I will stay there until he gets back. After that, I don't know, but I do know I don't want to see you anymore. Leave me alone, please. I got in my car and drove away. Wish I hadn't looked in the rearview mirror. Julie had slumped to the ground and was sitting there crying. Shh, why do I feel bad? She was the one that screwed the pooch over this. Why do I feel like shh then? I guess you can't turn off love like a beer tap. I decided not to file for divorce. Let her pay the freight if she wanted to. We have no contact for about 2 months now, except 3 letters Julie sent to me, into the trash unopened. The third one I returned marked delivery not accepted. No more letters. There were a few calls at work from Julie, but Cindy wouldn't put them through. No more calls. The new job was great. I was making money hand over fist. Big deal. I had no one to share it with. I had made 3 more fleet sales in the last 2 months, which were real money makers. They were the largest and most profitable deals in the company's history. My boss was very pleased. It made him look good for putting me in that position. The owner gave me a trip to Hawaii for 2. First-class airfare, a special suite at the Kaanapali Beach Hotel with all meals and $2,000 spending money. Great. I had no one to take on a wonderful vacation. Just ducking great. Mark had tried to talk to me about Julie several times. I finally shut him down. I told him again he is my best friend, but to stay out of it. I didn't want to talk about her, and if he continued to try, he and I would have a big problem. He didn't mention her after that. Update 2. About 3 months after Julie and I split up, Mark came to me with very disturbing news. Julie was filing for divorce. He said she had told Josie, they had apparently become friends, that she was tired of waiting for me to come home. Julie was going to move on with her life. I had expected this, so why did it knock me for a loop? Remember what I said earlier about love, that you couldn't just turn it off like a tap? I guess I still loved her. No, I know I still loved her. Well, Mark said we had to have a meeting to settle the assets before actually filing the divorce papers. He said Julie would be there with a friend and a paralegal to help with the legal stuff. On my side, it would be Mark and a paralegal that worked for us part-time. Me too, I would also be there. No way around it, I was told. Mark suggested we use the training room there at the dealership, unless I wanted to drive downtown to the attorney's office. I agreed it made more sense to use the training room. Monday morning is usually a very slow time at our car lot, so we set the meeting for 9 a.m. I was sitting in the room with my paralegal waiting for the others. Mark walked in, leading Julie and her paralegal. Behind Julie was her friend. It was Sandy. I just about If Sandy was with her, she knew what had really happened. What? How? I don't know what I mean, I stuttered. I sound like a moron. Julie asked, "Now will you talk to me before this goes any farther? I know what really happened that night." "Yeah, go ahead. What have I got to lose now? Go ahead, Julie, and maybe then we can get past this. I'm tired and just want it to end." "Please let me tell it all without you interrupting or flying off the handle. After I finish, I will answer any questions you have, okay?" "Okay, I will try to keep quiet until you are done. If I get too mad, I will excuse myself until I can calm down." Julie said, "For 3 or 4 months before this all came up, Bill from her work kept saying he saw you around town several times. He said that you were with different women every time. I told him he was full of it, that you wouldn't cheat on me. He said the wife is always the last to know. I almost decked him. Later, I got to thinking about the dates Bill had said he saw you. Most of them coincided with the nights you stayed late at work. I still didn't believe you would cheat on me. There had to be some other explanation. Then on that Thursday night, just before you called me, Josie called me and asked where you were. I told her you and Mark had gone to have a couple of drinks. She said she had just got a call from someone named Sandy. Sandy said to tell Mark and Bob she would be a little late, but please wait for her. That's why I was short with you on the phone, Bob. First Bill, and now this. I began to think maybe there was something going on. I should have just called your cell and asked what was going on. As I was talking to Josie, I had what I thought was a great plan. I knew you favorite watering holes, so I would just check them and you out. If I was wrong, you would never know. I told Josie what I was going to do, and she wanted to go with me. Josie said if Mark was fooling around, she was gone. If Mark would screw around now, he would screw around anytime. I met Josie, and we took her car. We started to check the bars and saw Mark's car outside the lounge and waited. I had just decided to go in and see what was going on when the 3 of you walked out the door. We saw Sandy hanging all over both of you. It looked like you two were going to have a good time with this drunken woman. At the car, I saw her turn to you, put her arms around you, and start kissing you. That's when I took the pictures. I was afraid you would notice the flash, but I guess you were too busy. You guys put Sandy in the back seat and stood talking for a minute, and then got in the car and left. I drove Josie back to her car, and she rushed to Mark's place. You know what happened when you got home. By the way, after you kicked in the bedroom door, was the first time I was ever afraid of you. The look on your face was pure rage. I was really afraid. I should have known better. About 30 minutes after you left, Josie called me and told me Mark had brought Sandy home with him. He was surprised to see Josie there. He told her what happened and said he was glad she was there. Josie cleaned her up. She had puked all over herself and put her to bed in the guest room. You guys were gentlemen, and I misunderstood. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry I misjudged you. I'm sorry that I listened to that asshole Bill. And sorry I didn't ask you about it instead of jumping to the wrong conclusion. Please, Bob, forgive me and come home. I sat and looked at Julie for a minute or so. Then I began to speak. My turn now? Okay, let's take things one at a time. Your buddy Bill has had it out for me for about 8 months now. Remember you company picnic last summer? I didn't like the way he was flirting with you. He was hugging you, touching you in ways I didn't like, and spending way too much time around you. He's sort of your boss, and I figured you did not want to make a scene. I could tell you weren't happy with his attention. Bill walked down to the lake and I followed him. When he was alone and away from everyone, I walked up to him and asked to speak with him. He said, "Sure, Bobby, what's up? You know how much I hate to be called Bobby." So that set the tone right there. I told Bill I didn't like the attention he was paying to you. The touching and hugging were over the top, too. His answer was that it was up to you and you seemed to like it. "No," I said, "it was up to me." I grabbed his arm at the bicep and told him to stay away from you. He tried to pull away. Jerking his arm around, I told him if he bothered you again, I would rip off his arm and beat him to death with it. He looked at me with fear in his eyes, and I said, "Don't duck with me. If you have to talk at work, it had better be work-related. Do you understand, you little piece of shit?" He nodded his head, and I let him walk away. If you remember, he was never even close to you the rest of the day. I guess he believed me. Now to the night in question. If you had just asked me about Sandy, I would have told you what was going on and probably asked you to join us at the bar. You know the women's perspective. You immediately thought I was guilty. Why would you decide to follow me unless you thought I was guilty? Why would you bring a camera unless you thought I was cheating on you? The worst criminal gets better treatment than you gave me. At least they are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Not me. I was guilty as charged without a trial. That was bullshit. Julie, you could have avoided the mess we are in by just talking to me. Yell at me if you must, but confront me and give me a chance to explain. No, you decided I was guilty after talking to Josie the first time she called. Okay, I'm done. Anything else, or can we get on with dividing the assets? I need to get back to work. Bob, I tried to call you to apologize after Josie told me what really happened. You hung up on me and then wouldn't take my calls. Don't you understand? The fact that you found out the truth later doesn't matter. The problem is you didn't trust me enough to ask me about anything. You just assumed I was a cheating asshole. Remember, that's what you called me. There is no marriage where there is no trust. Don't know who said that, but it's the truth. Now, are we done here? Split up everything evenly and I'm good with it, except I want my motorcycle. I'm done. Goodbye, Julie. As I left the room, Julie started crying like her heart was broken. I guess it was. I know mine was. My crying was done hidden in my office, but I cried anyway. Mark came into my office to argue with me. After hearing all this, you still are going to leave Julie? I thought you were smarter than that. Get out, Mark. I told you before, stay out of it. But no, you had to help set up this ambush. I never thought you would take someone else's side against me. I'm so mad at you, I could kick your ass. Get out. I'm leaving you dumb, sht. You are giving up the only person that ever made you happy just because your pride is hurt. You know, I don't think you're smart enough to be my friend. You are not only an idiot, but a stupid idiot. Duck you. After Mark left, I locked my door and really began to cry. I had lost the love of my life and my adopted brother all in one day. Just ducking great. Okay, I wallowed in my self-pity for about 3 weeks. It's a good thing I made a lot of money earlier because I sure wasn't making any now. Couldn't concentrate on the deals. I had to turn customers over to my sales partners for the first time since I was a rookie. It wasn't good. I don't know how long I would have been in a fog if my boss hadn't came to see me. Bob, I understand you have personal problems, and I'm not trying to say they aren't important. The rest of your life is important too. Right now, you're just watching your life go down the drain. Get your head out of your ass and get going. Take a week off to square yourself away. Call the girl and talk to her, or go out and get laid. But do something, damn it. I need you back at full strength. Thanks, boss. I will take the time and get my shit together. See you in a week. I left my office and drove to the motel I was staying at. My friend had returned and wanted his house back, so I was back at the same old motel. I was sitting in my room with a large bourbon on the rocks, just thinking about that night, the meeting in the training room, and how Julie looked when I walked out. Then I asked myself the question I should have asked all those months ago. Is my life better with Julie or without her? She had been wrong, but it was a mistake. Was I making a bigger mistake by splitting with her? I knew the answer without having to mull it over. Maybe I am a stupid idiot. If I had asked that question months ago, I would have been better off. I picked up my phone and called Julie's cell. I thought I heard the ringing on the phone and outside my door. Just then, someone knocked on my door. I listened to the phone ringing, and then I opened the door to see who was bothering me while I was making the most important call of my life. Julie was standing there getting ready to knock on the door again. "Hello, Bob. I'm sorry to bother you, but I wanted to tell you in person that I'm going to see an attorney tomorrow. I can't stand this limbo we are in anymore. Again, sorry to bother you, but you haven't been answering my calls. I wanted to tell you before I did it. See a lawyer, I mean." "Come in, Julie, please. I was just calling you. Didn't you hear your phone ring?" "Yes, but I turned it off. I thought this was more important, talking to you, I mean." "Please come in. Please. I was calling you to ask you about our state of limbo, as you put it. The question I wanted to ask was, well, can you forgive me? Can I come home? I don't like it out here without you. I love you and want it to be us again." Julie just stood there for a second, and I thought, oh, I have lost my chance. And then she hugged me so hard I almost couldn't breathe. She started crying again. What is it with women? They always cry. I hugged her back and tried to tell her everything would be fine now, but I couldn't talk either. I was crying too. She started blubbering about how sorry she was, how it was her fault, and some more stuff. "Enough," I said. "I could have acted better too. There is plenty of blame to go around. Let's call it a push and go on with our lives." There wasn't too much talking after that point, at least not that I can spell. Final update. The next day I called my boss and told him I had taken his advice. I told him I had done both things he suggested. I had called the girl and got laid. We were going to use that Hawaiian vacation the company had given me, so I would be gone for 2 weeks. Julie called her office and talked to Bill. She told him she was going to be gone for 2 weeks with her husband. He told her she couldn't go right now, maybe later in the year. "Duck you, Bill. I could come over there and kick your ass myself for causing all this trouble. I'm going, and that's that. You better hope I cool down before I get back." Well, we are on the beach on our last day in paradise. Things have certainly been going better these last 2 weeks, and we have decided to increase our family unit. We are going to have a couple of kids. It's going to be fun practicing. Mark and Josie will meet us at the airport. We have to help them plan their wedding. Just remember to follow the advice given at the start of this story. Believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see. Thank you, Marvin Gaye. My reaction. Okay, some of you will say, why did Bob leave in the first place? Some will say, how could he go back after the lack of trust by Julie? I believe the question Bob asks of himself must be answered, and you must follow that answer. Was his life better with or without her? This ran a little longer than I intended, but couldn't seem to find a way to condense it. Writing about your own life tends to make you go on and on. I'm sure some editor could enlighten me. Thanks. Thank you once again for being such an amazing audience. We encourage you to subscribe to our channel and stay connected with our community. I look forward to reading your valuable advice and working together to make our channel the best it can be.